we stand and fight.
That's why we stand and fight.
Thank everyone for coming out today to another Take Back the Land Madison action. Take Back the Land is a movement to achieve housing as a human right. We believe that no one should be homeless. There is no reason to have peopleless homes and homeless people. We believe that all people, all living people should be able to have a house. So today we're here to defend a foreclosure that's going to happen by M&I Bank at 6304 Hammersley Road. In a little bit, someone's going to come up who's a current tenant, a resident of the home, to speak to the history of the home and why we should maintain it. But a little bit about Take Back the Land. We believe, like I said, we believe absolutely without negotiation that every human being should be with the house. We are in one of the wealthiest nations. There's no reason why people do not have a house. And so to achieve this, we do positive action. We identify homes that are either being foreclosed or places or fight against evictions or foreclosures to protect people's ability to live, as well as liberate homes where we identify houses that have been owned or that are owned by banks that received federal bailout money, who received our taxpayer dollars to receive our dollars, and we move homeless families into those houses. We believe that since we already paid for the housing with our tax dollars, that is now public housing. We have already paid for this property,
yes.
And so we are demanding, and so we are very clear in demanding that M&I Bank turns this property over to the people. We the people, we have paid for it already with our money, so we demand that M&I Bank turns this property over. M&I Bank is also a supporter of Scott Walker. We are very clear that this is unacceptable. Right, so we know that M&I Bank is attacking us on several different levels, not only in supporting legislation that's attacking so many different folks, but also they are a bank that is actively evicting people wrongfully out of housing. And so the first person who's going to come up and tell you all kind of what's going on with the property is Robert McGee, who is a current resident of this property.
Hello, everybody. My name is Robert McGee.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. These are my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah.
And I hope that God don't none of y'all be homeless in y'all life like I have been. I'm a 50-year-old man. I've been homeless for partially of my life. I've been foreclosed on a house on 2832 Turbot Road, which was foreclosed, which forced me to move. I'm not getting any younger. I've rented this here property for 2 years now. Now this house is under foreclosure. I mean, the people are fighting hard to pay their bills and stuff. They're getting bad bank loans, and now we're thrown out on the streets again. How could this happen in the great city of America? How could it happen in the great city of America, y'all? How can you guys be homeless? How can my children and my grandchildren be homeless? Because the banksters, they are nothing but gangsters to me. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert, for eloquently sharing that with us. Now I'm going to call Nate, who is a member of Take Back the Land Madison, to speak more about the property and what the property has meant, not only to him, but to the community that's out here before you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Housing is a human right.
Yes, it is.
I'm Nathaniel Abrams. I greet you in Arabic, greeting in peace. Salam alaikum. Alaikum assalam. This house is being foreclosed on by M&I. They got $1.7 billion bailout money. They kept the money and kept the houses. For the past 2 years, this house has been ran by Operation Welcome Home. I'm a graduate of this house. It's given me a chance to come from homelessness. Had a place where I could sit my feet, gather my thoughts. It's difficult to pull yourself up when you're homeless, when your day-to-day existence is based on trying to survive on a daily basis. This has helped me. The support of Governor Walker, well, we know what he's doing, you know. But it's really important that this property here be turned over to the Community Land Trust, so this program can still go on to help others like it's helped me. Very important. All right. Very important. People need housing. People need a chance to pull themselves up in these economic times. You know, these are some strenuous times that this nation is going through. And the greatness of a community or a city is based on how it treats its poor.
Yes.
Its underclass.
Yes.
That's right.
Amen. course, any business, you know, they had had voted the other day, and it said about how business is treated just like a human being. Now, how is that? A business is an entity. It doesn't feel. It just reacts. And if a business is great, it has a certain amount of social compassion. You know, to give back. Who built the business? Who made it profitable? You know, it's not just an all take and take and take, and you know, just the hog that eats the most slop, they're the one that survive. It's not the type of mentality they should have. It should support policies and policies and dictates of the community in order to keep us above board. I think that I've tried myself as Operation Welcome Home. We have done such a thing to try to build up the community, and this house needs to continue to stand.
Yes, it does.
And the residents of this house need not be evicted. I thank you for your support. Please, Operation Welcome Home, I ask for your support. Visit our website, please, find out more information.
So next to the mic is Charlie, who is a member of Women Rise Up.
Yes.
Which is an organizing group of African American women on the west side of Madison. And Charlie's going to speak how this epidemic essentially is more targetedly affecting women and children, and what that means for women and children.
Women rise up. Women rise up.
Women rise up. Yeah.
Women rise
Yeah.
up. Women rise up.
And housing is our right. We'll talk about women. We'll talk about children. I am a mother whose children are grown right now, adults with their own children. I have problems getting services as it is. I face maybe being out on the street and being homeless one day. That's my concern from day to day, especially after this last election. However, I was taught that this land, just like it's your land, it's our land too.
Yeah.
We're gonna take it back because it belongs to us. Our children are our future. What is Scott Walker saying to our children right now? This is not our future for our children to be homeless, crying on the streets because they're hungry, because mom doesn't have a roof over their head or anything to feed them. Because right now, we don't even know if we're going to have food stamps to feed our children.
Yes.
We don't even know if we're going to have a paycheck next month to feed our children.
Yes.
For disabled people, not only mothers and children, but disability. Come on, what's going on, Scott Walker?
Yes.
This is not about you. This is not about your executives.
Yes.
This is about women, children, and this land was made for me and you.
Yes.
And our children. Housing is our right, and we are taking it back, Scott Walker.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Next to the mic is John Peck, who will be speaking about how foreclosures have not only affected people who live in cities, but out in rural areas like farms.
Yeah.
Farmer Joe! Farmer Joe! Farmer Joe!
I was really hoping someone from M&I Bank would be here today, because I have a gift basket for them. It's an Easter basket, little piggy bank, because I know they're really struggling for lack of money right now. Not, wherever they are. And I remember a few years ago that M&I Bank was basically living out of a P.O. box in Nevada. Do people remember this?
Yes.
They were trying to evade paying taxes in the state, so they and a whole bunch of their bankster friends were moving out to Nevada, said they lived in these P.O. boxes, and that way they didn't have to pay any corporate taxes in Wisconsin, trying to evade their responsibilities. And now we hear they're going to foreclose on this house, and who knows how many other houses in the state, who knows how many farms they're foreclosing on.
Yes.
And it's just absurd. Like, we're in the financial crisis. They got this huge bailout, and next thing they're like raking in more crumbs. Like, none of us even have a chance to get anything out of life, and they're going to take it all. I mean, they're taking it all. It's just crazy. I mean, the farmers I've talked to, over half of people who farm don't own the land they farm. People know that? And this is part of the land grab going on. This house is being grabbed. Farmers are losing their land, and they're snagging property all over the place. And next thing it's going to go onto the market. It's going to be the next, commodity, right? Like carbon credits. We're going to trade people's land. Next week we'll be trading people's children. What's next? Everything's up for sale, right? It's just absurd that M&I Bank is not paying their fair share of taxes, that they're stealing this home out from under people who need it. And we need to call them to account.
Yes.
And I was so thrilled the other day when the firefighters and other people took their money out of M&I Bank.
All right.
We need all to take their money out of M&I Bank. owe us a huge apology. They should be putting money back into the state, not stealing money from people here. We've been bankrolling their accounts for years now. It's just crazy, the fact that they could get away with this. So I'm so glad to see people here holding up, for people's rights. Housing is a human right.
Yes,
Having
it is.
access to land is a human right. People should be able to live in a home and not be worried about being thrown on the street because some bankster needs to get a bigger compensation package. It's just absurd. It's absurd. So I'm glad people are here. We need to stand up and to say no more foreclosures. There should be a moratorium on foreclosures. We start taxing the rich, taxing the banks, and giving land back to the people where it belongs. Thank you.
Next to the mic, we have Ben Mansky, who is a proud Madisonian and also the coordinator of the Wisconsin Wave, to speak more about the corruption that's happening here in this city.
So I could speak as an attorney. I could speak as somebody who is encouraging everybody to come down to the state capitol and march on Wisconsin manufacturers and commerce tomorrow.
All right.
But I'm actually going to speak as somebody who grew up on the west side, whose community this is. And I'm going to speak to those who are listening and watching, who may take a look at what's happening here and not entirely understand why it's so important for everybody in the city of Madison, everybody in Dane County, to come out and support what's happening here. What's happening in Wisconsin today is that the governor's proposed a budget that would push 1 million people in Wisconsin over the edge. Folks who have been struggling to get above the surface, it's pushing them down. And it's doing it for no reason other than greed. As you've heard, M&I took in, $60 million in bonuses?
Almost $70 million in bonuses.
Almost $70 million in bonuses for M&I Bank. So right now, people here in Madison are hurting. And if you're a Madisonian, if you're somebody who's from Dane County, you should come out and support the families who are here, support the children who are here. They have a right to housing just like you do. And we're all going to stand here together, and we're going to win this fight. We're going to get this home back for the people of Madison, and we're going to reclaim other homes here in our community. So thank you.
So now that you've heard a little bit about why we're doing it, we're going to talk a little bit about how we're doing it, right? So people say, well, we support people not being homeless. People say we support people having a house. Well, they often then say, well, we don't agree with the tactics. We don't agree with the measures that you are taking. Why can't you work within the system? And to that I say, well, imagine this. Imagine if you were to go to the store, to the store and buy a soda, and you were to hand the cashier $1. You would be expecting to get your soda back. Now imagine if the cashier kept the soda and the $1.
Yes.
That's exactly what has happened here. And what do we say to the cashier? Give me my soda.
Give me my house. 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 Yeah.
And we are also, and not only do we think it's the right thing to do, but we're also building off of a strong legacy of organizing, specifically the civil rights movement.
Yes.
Just like 50 years ago, they had the sit-ins, which many people say don't do it because it's illegal. But they took the higher road and they said, we will do what is moral, right? And that is what we're doing here. We're modeling morality. So not only are we drawing attention to laws that are immoral, but we're also modeling what the law should be, and that is to pair people's homes with homeless people.
Yes.
And so next to speak more about why we take the action we take, why positive action, why direct action, why civil disobedience, as some may choose to frame it, is Chris Long. Reverend.
Say housing is a human right.
Housing is a human right.
That's why we stand to fight.
That's why we stand and fight.
As Monica has said, my name is Reverend Chris Long. I am an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister, and I stand in the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., whose 43rd anniversary of being assassinated we celebrated this past week. We honored and mourned with Jesse Jackson this week, asking the question that I think our new mayor was asking. Paul Soglin was voted in because he talked about poverty.
That's right.
He wanted to make a difference in the lives of people that are being impacted by the laws that are being formed in this city and at the state level that continually come down on the backs of poor people. We, as citizens of progressive Madison, have to take a moral stand to know that housing, in fact, is a human right. Amen?
Yes, it is.
Housing is a human right, so we're asking folks that at M&I with conscience to come and stand at the table. We're asking folks around the city firefighters, police officers, those who have also stood at the Capitol for this repair bill that's only going to worsen for those at the bottom of our society who are looking for ways to 1 million people, we heard, 1 million people will be impacted negatively by this new repair bill that's connected directly to the housing situation we face here on Hammersley. We ask you as people of moral consciousness to come and stand with us in fighting for housing as a human right. Housing is a human right.
So next to the mic is Alicia Muhammad, who is an organizer with Freedom Inc., who organizes the African American LGBT youth group. Alicia is going to come and talk about how LGBT youth of color are targeted by this, and also to elevate the narrative and the voices of youth who often get lost because for whatever legal reasons they're not able to take their lives in their own hands, so to speak.
How you doing? Like she said, my name's Alicia Muhammad, and I'm 19 years old, and I'm here representing the LGBT youth of color. LGBT youth of color support this movement and take back the land because a disproportionate amount of LGBT youth of color are homeless. LGBT youth of color are only 5% of the general population, but 42% of homeless people are LGBT youth, and 65% of that percentage is LGBT youth of color. Yes. So this means a lot to me. Yes. And I'm one of those homeless youth of color, unfortunately. And while Scott Walker is getting these giving $80 million to M&I Bank is giving $80 million to Scott Walker. I would love to be sitting here in one of these homes while I'm homeless, you know what I'm saying? Scott Walker, with his budget repair bill, is trying to cut Badger Care and Food Share. And by M&I Bank giving money to Scott Walker, he's saying that M&I Bank is saying that they support that. So that means that not only is M&I Bank not care about the poor, but they don't care about people of color.
And we all have color.
These LGBT youth of color are homeless because of homophobia and racism. So by M&I Bank giving money to Scott Walker, not only is Scott Walker and M&I Bank racist, but they're also homophobic. Thank you.
Next to the mic, we're gonna have Brenda from the Tenant Resource Center, who's gonna talk about how this is disproportionately affecting renters.
Thank you. You know, one of the things that I'm up here to talk about tenants' rights, and I have a brochure and I can give you all kinds of information. The problem is that this information isn't enough. You know, there were some laws passed that will help tenants when they're getting foreclosed on, but some of those laws only help some of the tenants. They only help them some of the time, and those laws are temporary, and they're going to go out of effect at the end of next year. And so, while you know, it may be that we can help some people sometimes through some of these laws, the federal government and the state government have tried to help tenants, but it really, I find at the Tenant Resource Center, what usually ends up happening is that the tenants get part of their problem solved, but it doesn't solve all the problems. They still have to find money to move when their lease is over with. They still have to find money for a new security deposit for a new place. They still have to deal with the problems of the banks not really being landlords and not knowing how to manage property, not being able to fix things when they need to be fixed. The landlords that are losing their properties don't have much incentive to fix the things. And so the renters really get caught in the middle between the homeowners and the banks. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that even though we have these rights in place, it's really not helping tenants to the extent that they need to be. The other thing that I find is a real problem is we had stimulus money at the Tenant Resource Center to help tenants while they were being evicted from places that were being foreclosed on. However, that stimulus money is now gone. Apparently they think the problem is solved, and I guess we're just supposed to all move on now and think that we've done a great thing, but the problem isn't solved. And that's why I really appreciate all of you here today, because we have to find new ways to address these problems. These laws and that stimulus money didn't fix the problem, and we need to look at new approaches. The People's Vision for Affordable Housing has come up with some of those ideas about what we can do locally. We could start taxing LLCs more appropriately, making sure that when they purchase properties, they're being fully taxed at the purchase price that they purchase those properties at. We could have security deposit programs that help people. We could have greater enforcement of tenant laws that we have already on the books. And also, I think that the city of Madison, we did just elect a mayor who said he was really going to address poverty issues. And I think what we need to do is we need to make sure that he forms a task force on poverty.
All right.
That we are asked to sit at the table and to come up with the solutions. And that we have to say, the city of Madison has to get out here and aggressively start purchasing some of these homes, making sure that they fall into the hands of the nonprofits so that they can keep them affordable on a long-term basis. I think those are the type of long-term strategies that I know you all agree with. I know that you've been working on them, and I'm so glad to see so many wonderful people standing there behind that banner that says housing is a human right. I've been saying that for 20 years, and I feel like it's no longer radical to say it. It's a human right, and people know that it's a human right. And because of what's been going on at the Capitol, people are starting to realize it. And so thank you to everybody, and I really appreciate you. Housing is a human right.
Once again, Take Back the Land is a movement to elevate housing as a human right. We do not compromise or negotiate around our rights. As you can see here, this house has gathered a whole community to come together, full of love and energy. Adjacent to that house is an empty, vacated house. We cannot have things like that in this city. No more empty houses.
No more empty houses. No more empty houses.
And we know that the fight has just begun. On the 26th, April 26th at 8 a.m. at the Dane County Courthouse, there's a sheriff auction or a sheriff sale. We are asking the community to come out and to support. Once again, we're gonna have a rally there and demand that the house not go for sale, but that it be turned over to the people. Banks are not people and they do not need homes. Homes are for people to live and are not and should not be profit centers for corporations. Housing is a human right. So housing is a human right.
Housing is a human right.
That's why we stand to fight.
That's why we stand to fight.
Housing is a human right.
Housing is a human right.
That's why we stand to fight.
That's